There are a number of ways to escape from the mount. The most basic way that everybody should learn first is what we call the UPA escape. And the UPA, spelled UPA, basically it's just a motion where you're on your back, he's mounted on your chest. And the UPA is just simply a jump, a move this way. I'm going to go onto my shoulder. I'm not going to necessarily put my head on the ground, but I'm going to lift my hip off of the ground and I'm going to go to one side. And the other arm will shoot up. That's one. You go both ways. You go the other way. Two. And the goal is to try to get your hips up as high as possible. So in order to do that, your feet can't be down here. Your feet need to be as close to your butt as possible. So that enables you to get the most lift out of here. So a good idea would be to do this as an exercise, as a warm-up, every time you train. So you just do 5 or 10 on each side. And what this will do is it'll get your body in condition to doing the movement properly. So when I do have somebody mounted on me, first thing I need to do is make sure he doesn't mount high on me, right? He needs to, as far as his position goes, he's better off if he's underneath my arms and he's got my arms flapping like this. So what I need to do is I need to find a way to get my arms in tight. So I'll put pressure on his leg here, and I'll just simply put my feet up to my butt, and I'll just slide up until my elbows are down here. Now what he's going to do is he's going to go ahead and put a choke in my collar here, right? And then first thing I do is I use this hand that's next to my face, and I'll grab his wrist and I'll pull his wrist down. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to buy a little space here, so if he gets the other hand in my collar, he won't be able to choke me because this side I've got a little bit of a defense here. The next thing I do is I use this hand and grab his sleeve in this fashion. What I always do is I feel for the stitch that goes down the sleeve. That's usually the best place to grab. You grab above the elbow. So I grab here and I'm going to pull down. I pull down so I keep my elbows down here and my other elbows tight, so he doesn't get back underneath my elbows like he did the first time. The last thing I do is I use this foot and I block his foot here and I squeeze it in a little bit as much as I can. Some of you may have flexibility issues and you may not be able to get your foot in. That's okay. All you do is you turn a little bit this way and then you should be able to get a little bit more. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I need to bump up that same position that I showed you, the exercise. However, if he's got a free hand, I need to make him put that hand on the mat. If I bump this way, he's going to put the mat over there and he's going to stop me from going. So what I like to do is I like to make him hit the mat up here and then I'll go to that side. So I'm going to simply bump, make him hit, and then I go. And we're over here. Yeah, let's try it again. So he's mounted on me. First thing I need to do is make sure I get myself in a good position. Elbows on his thighs, brace him here, back up till my elbows are down. Now he's going to go for a choke. I'm going to grab his wrist to get his wrist off of my neck. I grab the seam on his arm here, block his leg. I'm going to bump straight up and then turn off to the side. Bump, off to the side. Okay? Now there are some variations to this one. That's your first variation. Now what if he's mounted on me, but he's not trying to choke me. In fact, he's just trying to base himself, trying to protect himself. And he's got both hands up above me so that now I can't, there's no choke, so there's no arm to grab. What I need to do is I need to make myself have an arm to grab. The easiest way to do it is I'm going to take this hand here, since it's on this side, and I'll simply shoot it up in between his arms, and I'm going to use my elbow to bend his elbow, and I'm going to pull his elbow down with my arm. And I'll keep this arm here locked up. I can have a sleeve here. If there's no sleeve, let's say it's in a street setting, there's no gi, just grab his arm, that's fine. Then what I'll do is I'll lock him up like we did the last time. This hand will be on the other side, and I'm going to hit him on this side and point my arm that way like I do with the exercise when I bump up and go that way. So, I've got his arm here. He's got to make sure when you're drilling it, you curl your hand in. So put your hand flat on the mat the way you had it. This is not good because when I take him over, he's going to bend his wrist and it could possibly hurt him. So right before I go, he's going to want to turn his wrist in. And even when you're training, if you get into this position where your opponent does lock you up, turn your wrist in so you don't possibly injure it. So I'm here, and I'm going to simply, got his arm locked up, got his foot locked up, I'm going to bump and take him to that side. And that's how we get out of that. Now there's also another variation, last one, where he's mounted on me, but he's got a really low base, and in fact, he's got an arm wrapped around my neck. And he's trying to smother me in this way. So his arm is not over my collar, so I can't pin the arm down, and I can't get my arm over it because he's already locked around my neck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hand and I'm going to put it behind my neck. Just reach the back of my neck. So this way I can lock the arm here. The other way to do it is I can simply just put my hand over here and just keep my head up against it. I like to hold the back of my head here. So I'll lock his foot up here, and this hand will do the same thing. I'll just up and take him over. Right? One last version of this I like to go over is what happens if, actually I'll go over two more versions. What happens if he has like a play schoolyard style, he's got my hands pinned back, right? This will happen to a lot of females. I mean, some guy will just go and do this to them. So go ahead and hold my hand down. So what you want to do is you want to do a couple of things. Number one is you're not going to be able to lift your arms up because he's got all the weight on it. So what you need to do is you need to move your hands either this way or that way, whichever way you can do it. So what I'll do is I'll simply bump him up, and I'll move my arms this way, and I'll come around. And that way at least I got one arm free. Now I can turn to free the other arm, and I can get back in. Let's do that again. So he's got the arms pinned. It's basically one of those you give up, you give up. No, I don't give up. So I'm going to arms up, and I'll go around, and I'll go around. Right? So now I have his arm here. I want you to bend your arm so I don't hurt it. Yeah, put it around. So now I have his arm here. I've got this side, I've got this side. I'll just bump, and I'll take him off again. Okay? The last one is what if he is going to throw a punch at me, which happens a lot. So let's say I'm here and he decides he's going to punch me. Now, in order to put significant force in this punch, he's going to have to telegraph it at some point, meaning he's going to have to cock that arm back. So when I see that arm cocked back, I wait for him to start to throw the punch, and what I'll do is I'll bump him with my hip by doing one of these hip bumps. So watch what happens when I do that, and then actually throw your left hand for me because of the camera. So when he's going to throw it, a bump, he comes back this way, and come back on this side. Right? So just go bump, throw it, and I'll come this way. I'll lock the arm up. Same thing. You kind of get the idea of how things work now. I've got this arm here, and I simply bump. And those are your UPA series mountain escapes.